97% of older men miss this moment, and they never even realize the invitation was right in front of them. If you're a man over 40, you've probably lived this scene more than once. A younger woman asks you a simple question. It sounds harmless, casual, almost polite, and without thinking you answer it straight, logical, safe. You think the conversation went fine, then she pulls back, the energy fades and the moment disappears. No spark, no tension, no second chance. What most men don't understand is this: she wasn't asking for information, she was testing you. Somewhere between building a career, gaining experience, and becoming mature, many men unconsciously turn off their sexual frame. They stop believing they're still being seen as a man and start responding like a mentor, a co-worker, or a harmless presence. And women feel that shift instantly. Here's the truth they don't tell you. Attraction doesn't retire with age. For men, it often gets stronger. But only if you know how to read what's really being asked and respond in a way that creates tension instead of killing it. In this video, I'll break down the exact question women use to test attraction, why most men fail it without knowing, and how a different kind of response flips curiosity into desire. This isn't about tricks or lines. It's about frame silence and understanding the psychology beneath her words. Let's get into it. Number 1. She's testing your sexual frame. Let's be honest for a moment. When a woman asks you a question that sounds casual, it rarely is, especially when there's attraction in the air. What she's really doing isn't gathering information. She's checking your frame. She's sensing whether you're still grounded in your masculinity or if you've quietly stepped out of the sexual arena without realizing it. Here's the part most men miss. The question itself doesn't matter nearly as much as how you respond. Your tone, your certainty, your comfort with tension. That's what she's reading. Picture this. Mark is 46. Divorced, successful, confident at work, but unsure when it comes to dating again. He's at a coffee shop in Austin when Emily, 27, standing next to him, notices the book he's holding. She smiles and asks, "Do you actually live by that Stoic stuff, or do you just like reading about it?" On the surface, it sounds harmless. Mark thinks she's asking about philosophy, so he answers carefully. He explains Stoicism, mentions Marcus Aurelius, talks about self-discipline. He thinks he did well. But Emily's energy shifts. She nods politely, checks her phone, and the moment dies. What happened wasn't random. She wasn't testing his knowledge. She was testing whether Mark was comfortable owning himself as a man, whether he could stay relaxed, grounded, and slightly dangerous instead of safe and agreeable. In that moment, he answered like a professor, not a man she could feel drawn to. Let's be straight about this. Women often use questions as a form of covert testing. It's subtle, it's deniable, and it allows them to feel you out without putting themselves on the line. When she asks something like that, she's really asking, do you have a solid internal frame, or do you need approval? Can you hold eye contact, tension, and uncertainty without explaining yourself? Now contrast that with another scenario. Same question, different response. Mark pauses. He smiles slightly and says, "If I told you I did, you'd probably think I was trying too hard. I'll let you decide." Then he stops talking. That pause matters. That calm matters. Suddenly, Emily has to lean in. She has to invest. Because Mark didn't rush to justify himself or perform for her curiosity. He stayed centered. Let's call it what it is. Sexual attraction doesn't come from being correct. It comes from being comfortable with yourself, especially as an older man. When you rush to explain, you signal that you're trying to be liked. When you slow down, you signal that you're grounded and selective. Here's where many men slip. Somewhere after 40, they start assuming women see them as mentors, not men. So they unconsciously respond in a non-sexual frame, friendly, safe, informational. And women feel that instantly, even if they can't explain why. Quick reality check. If this has happened to you, it's not because you're invisible. It's because your frame leaked. If you've experienced this kind of moment before, type this in the comments right now. I hold my frame. Stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because once you understand how these tests work, everything about how you respond begins to change. Number 2. Her question means attraction. Let's be clear about something most men never stop to question. Women don't ask men questions they feel nothing for. Curiosity is not neutral. Attention is not random. If a woman is engaging you with a question that goes beyond basic politeness, something has already been activated. Think about it for a second. A woman who feels no pull toward you doesn't probe. She keeps things short. She disengages. She gives you surface-level responses and moves on. When she asks a question that invites depth, opinion, or reflection, that's not friendliness. That's interest checking its footing. Now, let's strip away the fantasy and look at this plainly. Attraction doesn't announce itself loudly, especially not with men who are older. It shows up quietly, disguised, plausible. A question is the safest way for her to lean in without exposing herself. It gives her cover. If you respond well, she stays. If you don't, she can retreat without risk. Here's where many men misunderstand the moment. They hear the question and assume it's informational. They answer as if they're being interviewed. They give clarity, background explanations. In doing so, they accidentally shut down the very tension that caused the question to exist in the first place. Let's talk honestly. When attraction is present, a question isn't about facts. It's about vibe. It's about sensing whether you're internally stable, emotionally grounded, and unbothered by approval. She's watching how comfortable you are standing in uncertainty. This aligns perfectly with Stoic thought. Epictetus put it simply, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In modern terms, that means not rushing to prove yourself, not scrambling to look impressive, not defending your position. When you don't need to be validated, you become magnetic. A question fueled by attraction is an invitation, not a test you pass with the right words. It's an opening. And openings don't need to be filled immediately, they need to be held. Here's a hard truth most men resist. The moment you over-explain, you signal anxiety. You reveal that you're more invested in being liked than being solid. Attraction doesn't grow in that space, it collapses. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." In conversation, that means staying present, not jumping ahead, not trying to secure the outcome. When you answer calmly without urgency, you show that you trust yourself in the moment. And this is where age becomes an advantage if you let it. Younger men often chase certainty. Older men can afford to sit in ambiguity. That stillness reads as confidence. That restraint creates tension. So when she asks, understand this, the attraction already exists. The question is simply her way of stepping closer while watching to see if you'll collapse inward or stay centered. If this resonates, type this in the comments right now. I don't rush attraction. Stick with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because once you understand why literal answers quietly sabotage desire, your entire approach to these moments starts to shift. Number 3. Wrong answers kill sexual tension. Let's talk plainly. Most men don't lose attraction because they say something offensive or awkward. They lose it because they answer the wrong way. And by wrong, I don't mean incorrect. I mean answers that drain tension out of the room. Sexual tension is fragile. It exists in the space between what's said and what's left unsaid. The moment you rush to clarify, justify, or explain yourself, that space collapses. And once it's gone, it doesn't politely come back. Here's a real situation that plays out all the time. David is 52, lives in San Diego, divorced, well put together. He's at a rooftop bar when Lisa, 31, leans over and asks, "So, are you always this confident, or is it just tonight?" David hears a compliment wrapped in a question. He smiles, laughs a little too fast, and says, "Oh, I wouldn't say confident. I've just been through a lot, life teaches you things." He keeps talking. He fills the silence. He explains. And right there, the tension dies. Lisa didn't ask that because she needed reassurance about his self-awareness. She asked because she felt something and wanted to see if he could hold it. Instead, David backed away from his own edge. He softened himself. He tried to be reasonable. Safe. Let's be real here. Literal answers feel polite, but they're sexually empty. They turn a charged moment into a neutral exchange. Women don't lean in to hear a biography. They lean in to feel certainty without explanation. Now imagine a different response. Same question. David pauses, looks at her, says, "That depends on who I'm talking to." And then he stops. That pause does the work. It creates curiosity. It forces her to invest. Because now, instead of receiving information, she's experiencing tension. Here's another example. Michael is 48 at a bookstore in Chicago. Rachel, 26, notices his choice of reading and asks, "Do you really believe in this stuff?" Michael answers, "Literally." He lists principles. He sounds thoughtful. He also sounds sexless. The wrong answer wasn't what he said. It was the energy behind it. He tried to convince instead of allowing her to wonder. Wrong answers share a pattern. They over-explain, seek approval, remove mystery, resolve uncertainty too quickly. And uncertainty is where desire lives. Let's say it clearly. When you rush to be understood, you signal insecurity. When you're comfortable being slightly misunderstood, you signal strength. That difference is everything. Older men often fall into this trap because they think clarity equals maturity. In life, that's often true. In attraction, it's not. Attraction thrives on restraint. Here's the key shift. You don't answer to close the loop. You answer to open it. You let the question breathe. You let silence do some of the work. You don't rush to land the plane. If you've caught yourself over-explaining in moments like this, type this in the comments right now. I stop over-explaining. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because once you understand why tension matters more than truth in these moments, the way you respond starts to change at a deeper level. Number 4. She wants your confidence. Let's be grounded for a moment. When a woman asks you a question that carries weight, she's not hunting for the right answer. She's watching how you carry yourself while you answer. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't rush. It doesn't try to win. It stays still while the moment unfolds. This is where many men misunderstand confidence. They confuse it with certainty, explanations, or having something impressive to say. But real confidence shows up as calm presence. It's the absence of need. It's the comfort of not filling every gap with words. Stoic philosophy has always been clear on this. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In conversation, that means you don't perform confidence, you inhabit it. You don't reach outward for validation. You remain rooted inward. When she asks you something personal, reflective, or slightly challenging, she's feeling for that root. She's sensing whether your confidence is internal or borrowed. Borrowed confidence collapses under pressure. Internal confidence doesn't need to defend itself. Here's the subtle part. Confidence isn't proven by dominance or bravado. It's revealed by restraint, by your willingness to pause, by your comfort letting her sit with curiosity, by not chasing clarity too soon. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Applied here, the wisdom is simple. Don't react the way insecurity expects you to react. Don't rush to please. Don't scramble to impress. Let the moment test itself against your calm. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional pressure. When you push, explain, or qualify your words, that pressure leaks. It signals that you're invested in the outcome. Confidence, on the other hand, removes pressure. It makes the interaction feel spacious, and that space is what allows attraction to grow. There's also a deeper layer here, especially for men who have lived. Confidence comes from self-trust, from knowing you don't need to be chosen to be whole. That energy is felt immediately, not consciously but instinctively. Seneca captured this perfectly when he said, "He who is brave is free." In these moments, bravery means letting go of the need to control how you're perceived. When you're free from that need, you become grounded. When you're grounded, you become attractive. This is why confidence becomes more potent with age, not less. Experience teaches you that approval is fleeting, presence lasts. When a woman asks you a question, she's sensing whether you've learned that lesson or are still trying to earn your place. Now, quick pause here. If this way of thinking is resonating and you want to go deeper into how to develop this kind of internal confidence consistently, I invite you to become a channel member. Inside the membership, I break down these dynamics in much more detail with guided frameworks, mindset drills, and real-world applications designed specifically for men who want depth, clarity, and control without performance. You'll find the link right below this video. If you're with me so far, type this in the comments. My confidence is internal. Stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because in the next part, we'll look at why most men completely miss the signal that matters most and how recognizing it changes everything. Number 5. Older men miss this test. Let's be frank. This test shows up most often for older men, and it's missed not because of age, but because of assumptions. Somewhere along the line, many men start believing that attraction works against them instead of for them, and that belief quietly changes how they show up. Here's what usually happens. An older man assumes the window is narrow. He tells himself this might be his last shot, or that he needs to play it safe. That mindset leaks into his tone, his timing, and his responses, and women feel it immediately. Take Robert, 54, living in Denver. He's confident in his career, grounded in life, but rusty socially. He meets Ava, 29, at a friend's dinner party. Conversation flows easily until she asks, "So, what made you start over after your divorce?" Robert hears a personal question and assumes she wants honesty. He leans in emotionally. He explains the pain, the lessons, the growth. He speaks earnestly, thoughtfully. By the end, he feels relieved, like he shared something real. But Ava's energy cools. That question wasn't an invitation to emotionally unload. It was a test, not of vulnerability but of frame. She was sensing whether Robert carried his past with dignity or apology, whether his life experience made him solid or softened. Older men miss this because they confuse depth with attraction. Depth matters, but timing matters more. Now look at a different moment. James, 47, meets Lily, 32, at a wine bar in Portland. She asks, "Do you always take life this seriously?" That question sounds playful, but it's sharp. It's checking for rigidity, for bitterness, for self-awareness. James laughs lightly and says, "Only when it's worth it." Then he pauses. No explanation, no defense. Lily smiles. She leans closer. Here's the difference. James didn't assume he needed to justify himself. Robert did. That assumption is the test. Older men often believe younger women are evaluating their past. In reality, women are feeling your present. They're sensing whether you're grounded now, not whether you've lived enough. This test shows up in subtle ways. Aren't you tired of dating? Do you ever feel out of place here? What do people your age usually want? On the surface, these sound like small talk. Underneath, they're checking for resignation, for scarcity, for whether you've quietly stepped out of desire. The moment you answer from a place of defense, explanation, or self-justification, the test fails. Not because you said something wrong, but because you revealed uncertainty about your own value. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The biggest mistake older men make is trying to be understood instead of felt. Attraction doesn't come from proving relevance. It comes from embodying ease. When you answer without urgency, without apology, without shrinking yourself, you pass the test. When you rush to reassure, you signal doubt. If you've caught yourself playing it safe in moments like this, type this in the comments right now. I don't shrink myself. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because in the next part, we're going to break down how curiosity itself becomes an invitation and why recognizing it changes the entire dynamic. Number 6. Curiosity is her invitation. Let's slow this down and look at what's really happening. When a woman is curious about you, that curiosity isn't passive. It's directional. It's movement. Curiosity is how attraction steps forward without announcing itself. Women rarely lead with blunt desire, not because they lack it, but because curiosity gives them cover. It allows them to move closer while still protecting themselves. A question becomes the bridge. And when you understand this, you stop misreading the moment entirely. Here's the key shift most men never make. Curiosity is not the beginning of conversation. It's the continuation of attraction, something already sparked. The question is simply her way of checking whether it's safe, stimulating, or worthwhile to go further. Stoic philosophy understood this dynamic long before modern psychology named it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change. Attraction is change. Curiosity is the signal that something is in motion. When you treat it like idle chatter, you interrupt the process." Many men hear curiosity and respond with certainty. They explain, they define, they clarify, and without realizing it, they close the very door curiosity was opening. Desire doesn't want closure. It wants space. Think about how curiosity actually feels. It's restless. It's slightly unresolved. It leans forward. When she asks you a question that carries tone, timing, and attention, she's offering you that unresolved space. Your role isn't to fill it, it's to hold it. This is where Stoic restraint becomes powerful. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters." In attraction, this means resisting the urge to overperform. You don't need to prove intelligence, depth, or worth in that moment. Your calm presence does the work. Curiosity is her way of saying, "I'm here. Show me who you are," not with words, with energy. And here's the uncomfortable truth. When you rush to explain, you communicate that you're eager for the outcome. You collapse the polarity. When you slow down, you communicate self-trust. That's what keeps her leaning in. Seneca captured this when he said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." Translating that to this moment, don't rush to resolve tension before it needs resolving. Let curiosity breathe. Let it do its job. There's also a deeper layer. Curiosity tests whether you're reactive or centered. If you become animated, defensive, or overly enthusiastic, you reveal that her interest controls you. If you remain composed, you show that attraction doesn't knock you off balance. This is why curiosity feels like an invitation, not to talk more, but to be more present, to allow silence, to let her wonder, to make her invest the next question. Older men who understand this stop chasing engagement. They allow engagement to come to them. That shift alone changes everything. If this perspective is landing for you, type this in the comments right now. I let curiosity work. Stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because next, we're going to break down why tension matters more than truth, and how that single insight changes every interaction. Number 7. Sexual tension beats logic. Let's talk straight. Logic feels safe. Logic feels mature. Logic feels like the right thing to lean on once you've lived a little. But when it comes to attraction, logic is often the very thing that shuts the door. Sexual tension doesn't operate on reason. It operates on feeling, timing, and restraint. And the mistake many men make, especially as they get older, is assuming that being clear, thoughtful, and reasonable will move things forward. Most of the time it does the opposite. Here's how this plays out in real life. Tom is 49, lives in Seattle, sharp dresser, calm demeanor. He's talking with Jenna, 34, at a small cocktail bar. The conversation has a spark. She looks at him and asks, "So, what are you actually looking for right now?" Tom hears a serious question. He switches into explanation mode. He talks about balance, compatibility, where he's at in life, what makes sense. He thinks he's being honest and grounded. What Jenna feels is something else entirely. The air goes flat. That question wasn't about strategy. It wasn't about plans. It was about charge. She was feeling the moment and wanted to see if Tom could stay inside it without killing it. Logic gave her answers. Tension would have given her a reason to stay curious. Now imagine the same question answered differently. Tom pauses, smiles slightly, says, "I've learned not to rush defining things too early." Then he stops. That answer isn't logical. It's not complete. And that's exactly why it works. Here's another situation. Eric is 53, meets Maya, 28, at an art gallery in New York. She asks, "Do you always take the lead like this?" Eric laughs nervously and says, "Oh no, I just try to be respectful. I don't want to assume anything." That response makes sense. It's polite. It's also sexually empty. Maya wasn't asking about manners. She was asking if Eric was comfortable with polarity. If he could own direction without apology, logic made him retreat. Tension would have made her lean in. Let's call this out clearly. Logic resolves. Sexual tension suspends. And attraction lives in suspension. Women don't get pulled toward men who explain themselves perfectly. They get pulled toward men who are comfortable letting things remain undefined. When you rush to clarify, you signal that you're uncomfortable with uncertainty. When you let the moment hang, you show confidence. This is where older men often trip. They think maturity means answering everything cleanly. But sexual energy doesn't respond to cleanliness. It responds to presence. You don't need to be vague. You don't need to be mysterious on purpose. You just need to stop trying to land every conversation neatly. Leave a little space. Let her wonder what you mean. Let her ask the next question. Here's the key difference. Logic is about control. Sexual tension is about trust. Trusting yourself. Trusting the moment. Trusting that you don't need to lock anything down right now. If you've noticed moments where things felt promising, then suddenly cooled off after you said the right thing, this is why. If this is clicking for you, type this in the comments right now. I don't over-explain attraction. Stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because next, we're going to look at how your response alone can trigger desire or shut it down instantly. Number 8. Your response triggers desire. Let's slow this down because this is where everything either clicks or collapses. Desire is not triggered by what you say. It's triggered by how you respond in the moment. The tone, the pacing, the restraint. Your response either amplifies attraction or quietly shuts it off before it ever has a chance to grow. Most men believe desire builds over time through effort, consistency, or saying the right things. In reality, desire is often decided in seconds. One response can flip curiosity into pull or turn interest into emotional disengagement. And the difference is almost always internal. When a woman asks you a question charged with subtext, she's watching for one thing above all else. Are you centered or are you reactive? Reactivity kills desire. Centeredness fuels it. Stoic philosophy speaks directly to this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In conversation, your power is not in steering her reaction, it's in mastering your own. When you stay grounded, you communicate something rare: self-command. Your response triggers desire when it shows three things at once. First, that you're not rushing toward an outcome. Second, that you're comfortable with uncertainty. Third, that you trust yourself enough not to explain who you are. Those signals land instantly. Here's the trap. Many men feel the energy shift and panic internally. They think this matters. And the moment it matters too much, their response tightens. They try to secure interest. They clarify intentions. They overcorrect. That effort is felt as pressure, even if the words sound calm. Desire doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to ease. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you answer without urgency, you show mastery. When you pause instead of filling space, you show confidence. When you allow her to sit with curiosity, you invite her to invest. This is why simple responses delivered calmly often have more impact than thoughtful explanations. Not because they're clever, but because they leave room for imagination, room for tension, room for her to wonder what you're really about. Your response becomes a mirror. If you're tense, she feels tension without desire. If you're relaxed, she feels tension with intrigue. Same situation, completely different outcome. Another key point most men miss: desire is not logical, but it is consistent. It follows patterns. One of those patterns is polarity. Desire needs contrast. If she's leaning in with curiosity, your grounded stillness creates contrast. If you lean in harder, polarity collapses. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." In moments like this, wasting the moment means rushing it, trying to define it too early, letting anxiety decide your response. When you answer in a way that doesn't chase resolution, you become unpredictable in the right way. Not confusing, not evasive, simply unforced. That's what keeps desire alive. If you take one thing from this, let it be this: your response is not about moving things forward. It's about not getting in the way of what's already happening. If this is landing for you, type this in the comments right now. I stay centered. Stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because next, we're going to talk about the one thing that decides whether desire keeps building or disappears completely: silence. Number 9. Silence turns her on. Let's strip this down to something most men feel but rarely understand. Silence isn't awkward by default. It only feels awkward when you're unsure of yourself. When you're grounded, silence becomes charged. And that charge is often what flips curiosity into desire. Here's the mistake many men make. They think attraction is built by adding more words, more explanations, more reassurance. In reality, attraction often grows when you stop adding and start allowing space. Consider this situation. Andrew is 50, based in Los Angeles, calm, successful, but used to leading conversations. He's talking with Natalie, 33, at a small lounge. There's eye contact. There's ease. She asks, "You always this composed, or am I just catching you on a good night?" Andrew answers, "Well." He keeps it light. He doesn't over-explain. And then he keeps talking. He adds a joke. Then another comment. He fills the space. Natalie smiles, but something fades. That wasn't because his answer was wrong. It's because he didn't let the moment land. Now imagine the same moment handled differently. Andrew answers calmly, then stops. He holds eye contact. He lets the silence sit for 2 seconds longer than feels polite. Natalie shifts. She tilts her head. She asks another question. That silence did more than words ever could. Here's why. Silence creates contrast. It breaks the rhythm people expect. Most men rush to fill gaps because they fear losing momentum, but silence is momentum when it's intentional. Let's be candid. When you're comfortable being quiet, you communicate abundance. You show that you're not chasing engagement. You're not performing. You're present. And presence is deeply attractive. Another example. Brian is 47 meeting Sophia, 29, at a networking event in Boston. They step aside from the crowd. She asks, "So, what's your story?" Brian gives a short, grounded response. Then he pauses. Sophia waits. He doesn't rush. The silence stretches just enough to feel noticeable. Sophia laughs softly and says, "Okay, that's interesting." Then she leans in closer. What happened there wasn't accidental. The pause forced her to invest. Silence shifted the dynamic from him offering to her pursuing. Here's the part most men miss. Silence isn't passive. It's active restraint. It shows you're comfortable with tension instead of trying to escape it. And sexual tension thrives in that space. Men who talk too much after a good response are usually trying to manage the outcome. They want to make sure the moment doesn't slip away. Ironically, that's what causes it to slip. Let's call it out honestly. If you feel the urge to keep talking, that urge is usually anxiety in disguise. Silence exposes that anxiety. Holding silence dissolves it. Older men often have a natural advantage here if they don't sabotage it. Life has already taught you that not everything needs a response. When you bring that same restraint into attraction, it reads as confidence, not distance. Silence also does something subtle. It lets her imagination step in. And imagination is where desire deepens. If you've noticed moments where everything felt right until you kept talking, type this in the comments right now. I let silence work. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Because in the final part, we'll talk about what it really means when she keeps asking questions and why that's the clearest signal of all. Number 10. When she keeps wanting more. Let's bring everything together, because this is the moment that tells you the truth. When she keeps asking questions, when the conversation doesn't naturally end, when there's always one more thing she's curious about, that's not politeness. That's momentum. Attraction has crossed a line from interest into investment. At this stage, something important has already happened. You didn't collapse your frame. You didn't over-explain. You didn't rush the moment. You allowed space, tension, and uncertainty to do their work. And now she's the one moving. Here's where many men still get it wrong. They see continued curiosity and think, "Now I need to lock this down." They speed up. They get excited internally. They try to convert interest into certainty. And that's when they undo everything they've done right. Let's ground this with a real-world situation. Daniel is 48, lives in Santa Monica. He's talking with Chloe, 30, after a casual group dinner. At first, she asks light questions. He responds calmly, doesn't chase, doesn't explain too much. The dynamic shifts. Now she starts asking follow-ups. What made you think that way? How did you get into that? So what happens next for you? Daniel feels the pull. He senses that something is opening. Instead of staying grounded, he leans forward emotionally. He starts revealing too much, too fast. He answers every question, fully ties things together, neatly tries to be transparent. Chloe listens, but the spark softens. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When she keeps wanting more, the worst thing you can do is give her everything at once. Desire isn't built by consumption, it's built by anticipation. Her continued curiosity is a signal that the dynamic has shifted in your favor. She's investing attention. She's spending energy. She's trying to understand you. Your role now is not to feed the fire until it burns out, but to let it breathe. Think of it this way. Curiosity is her reaching out. Restraint is you staying rooted. That contrast is what keeps attraction alive. When she keeps asking, she's not asking for answers anymore. She's asking for permission to stay engaged. She wants to feel whether the connection has depth without being forced into clarity. She wants to see if you're comfortable letting things unfold. Men who rush at this stage usually do so out of fear. Fear of losing the moment, fear of missing the window, fear that if they don't say everything now, they won't get another chance. That fear leaks, and women feel it immediately. Men who understand this stage do something different. They slow down even more. They answer selectively. They allow pauses. They let some questions remain partially unanswered. Not to be manipulative, but because they don't need to be fully known right away. This is where maturity becomes magnetic. Not because of experience, but because of patience. When she keeps wanting more, it means she hasn't reached saturation. She hasn't had enough of your presence. Your job is to not rush her to the finish line. Let her stay in wanting. Attraction deepens when it's not forced to conclude. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. When she keeps asking, when she keeps leaning in, when she keeps finding reasons to stay, that's your signal to stay grounded, not eager. That's how interest becomes desire. To wrap this up, what you've learned today isn't about tricks or lines. It's about understanding how attraction actually works beneath the surface. You saw how questions aren't random, how your frame matters more than your words, why over-explaining kills tension, and how silence, restraint, and presence are what keep desire alive. For men who've lived, experienced, and grown, this isn't a disadvantage. It's a quiet edge when you know how to use it. If you want to go deeper into these dynamics and develop this kind of calm, grounded confidence consistently, consider becoming a channel member. Inside the membership, we break these ideas down further with practical frameworks designed specifically for men who value self-mastery. If this video helped you see things differently, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.